Well, a correspondent in Gaza says that hospitals there are in dire need of medical supplies amid more casualties from Israeli attacks. The situation has been deteriorating since Israeli warplanes targeted one of the few hospitals in the Gaza Strip last night, forcing the evacuation of desperate patients from there. Here is more from our correspondent in the Gaza Strip, Hala Al-Safadi.
Last night there was a crime committed and internationally that stands against the international humanitarian law when Israeli airstrikes targeted Al-Wafa hospital, which is the only hospital for elderly. So basically, yet last night they evacuated after a number of threats from Israel to hit the hospital, and they actually damaged huge parts of the hospital, and a number of injuries were moved to other hospitals. So this is another problem that is facing the hospitals, because they're receiving other injuries from different hospitals, and they already lack number of essential equipment and number of medications that are essential for them to continue with their work. So we're talking here about the lack of medical supplies. We're talking about lack of medication, and even antibiotics, like basic antibiotics, are also doctors are suffering from shortage in them. So situation does not look any better in the hospitals. Talking to a number of doctors, they have confirmed that they are living in a very high state of emergency, and they kept on calling the international community to take immediate actions towards this crisis in the hospitals, especially that the borders remaining closed, whether it was Karm Shalom, the Israeli-controlled border, or the Rafah border in South Gaza. So if those borders keep on closing without allowing medical aid and essential aid to enter Gaza, then definitely we'll be facing not only crisis in hospitals, but also crisis in every household in Gaza.
Let's press the correspondent in the Gaza Strip, Hala Al-Safadi. Let's bring in political commentator Kevin Barrett from Madison, who joins us to tell us what he thinks about this operation by Israel. Kevin Barrett, welcome to the Top 5. First of all, let's look at this operation, and I'd like to find out from you whether how you view the United States and the way that they've acted on this. Are they supporting Israel? Has Israel conferred with them, and the U.S. given the green light for them to go ahead with this? Because the way that John Kerry in Austria described this, he weighed in on Israel that it is their right to defend themselves, kind of like what some Western and Arab media are doing.
Yes, it does appear that the U.S. is entirely complicit in this brutal criminal aggression against Gaza. And it's unfortunate. This administration in the past has had a lot of conflicts with Netanyahu, and I don't understand why it has become so completely obsequious. This is Obama's second term, after all. He doesn't have to run for president again. He could essentially stand up against the Zionist lobby, at least to some extent, as other second-term presidents have. But that hasn't happened. Instead, the U.S. has essentially given a green light to genocide in Gaza. And the international community at this point, starting with the U.S., but also including other countries, Egypt and Saudi Arabia being two of the most egregious offenders here, is completely complicit in these crimes against humanity. That is, that not only the Israeli leadership should be put in the docket and tried and hanged for these crimes, but the same goes for the leadership of the U.S. and certainly Egypt and possibly Saudi Arabia as well. Egypt has become completely Zionist-dominated. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is a well-known Jewish Moroccan Zionist agent. His mother is Jewish from Morocco. She came to Egypt as part of a Mossad operation. It was a long-term effort to penetrate Egypt's highest levels of power. It was immensely successful. Al-Sisi was Israel's man in Egypt when he was in the Egyptian armed forces before he seized power and overthrew Egypt's first democracy. Now he has closed the crossings to Gaza and is directly complicit in genocide. He is guilty of a capital crime against humanity. He ought to be tried and executed. Saudi Arabia is also guilty of this capital crime against humanity. Saudi Arabia could easily do what it did several decades ago and shut off oil to all countries complicit in genocide against Palestine. But on the contrary, Saudi Arabia is acting as a complete puppet of Israel. They're supporting the tech furies who are spreading chaos in the region to the benefit of Israel. Everything Saudi Arabia is doing is designed to encourage and increase the genocide in Gaza. So the leaders of these three countries, along with the Israeli leaders, need to be rounded up, put on trial, charged, convicted, and executed for genocide.
Thank you very much for that. We appreciate it. Kevin Barrett, political commentator. A pleasure talking to you, talking to us there from Madison.